Hey guys, welcome to the stream. It's day 41 and today we are having a look at some bow stuff. Okay, so Kent has kindly fixed up our animation to be in line, as you can see, and we've got two problems. Number one, if you stop moving, it immediately drops you back to that pose. Now, what I'm proposing is that we keep aiming, so we stay in this position for a certain amount of time, right, before dropping back to our idle hunting position, right? So this should stay aiming with our for a, I'm going to say 10 seconds, right? Now, let's start having a look at this. Now, what has also been proposed is that the left mouse button draws the arrow. Okay. Or, sorry, no, it doesn't. Talking rubbish. It's actually the... Which one is it? What's this one? Okay, we'll forget that. Right, that's with the wind. Up. Okay. So we've got aim, lock, forward, back, all of those, right? And then we've got standing, aim, overdraw. Okay. Is she actually pulling there? Or is it just her head twisting? No, she definitely does move. Okay. Right. So we have a couple of different things here. I'm not 100% sure on how we should proceed with this, because we've got all these individual things that actually work, but we kind of need to split them up to a degree, right? So we do that, we've got our bow. Okay. If we walk, we do that. Right, so it looks to me like I need to take away one of the controlling things here, which is the speed. Okay. Now, what I need to do here is in the pawn, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're doing this, right? So we basically need to undo these, right? These are going to get moved anyway, but so let's have a look at this. Right, so she's got the bow, right? And that still works fine. But you'll notice that we don't have an arrow, we don't have alright, Kent. Actually, it's fine because you'll see what problem we have here, right? Right, so if we walk forward, that's fine, right? We drop, and that's the speed changes to 0, okay? So we could, see the problem here is that in effect, right, when we've got this forward, right, the walk forward is actually not what we want, right? We actually need the walk forward to be something else. Right? So if we look at animations, right, I'll explain this. Right, you'll notice that when she walks forward, she's actually got the bow pulled back. Right? In actual fact, this hand should be here. Right? Ready to pull. Right? So our walking forward position is completely wrong. Right? If she's just walking forward. Yes, I have pulled the new files. You've got to remember here that this is in a different animation, right? So this is always what we had, and it hasn't changed, right? But her hand should be forward, ready to, basically we could pull the arrow out, right, which is another animation, right? So she's got the draw, so you can see there, right? But that doesn't link to what we are doing either, right? Because our draw would start back at here, at the other animation. Yeah, my problem is you keep saying we can simply do that, but we don't seem to simply do things. Or we never get around to it. And it's hard for me to do this if we don't have what we actually need, right? Because I can't put it together if I can't see what's going on, or it looks completely janky, because then I don't know if it's my coding that's made it janky or the animations that we're working on that's making it janky, right? But what I'm suggesting is that I'm going to delete this V2. I made this yesterday, right? Which was just a copy of V1 with her hand position moved so that it didn't look so bad, right? When the animation, the bow position and the arrow position and the string position wasn't pulled back. Well, what I'm saying is they didn't match up, right? So I moved this to match it up, right? But in theory, what I'm saying here, well, it does line up. I don't know what you mean by it doesn't line up, right? It's not the code that makes it line up. It's the animations. Right? So basically when I walk, right, so there's our bow in hand, that's fine, right? That looks okay, right? I haven't done anything. When we walk forward, that's okay. It is lined up, right? But the point is, at this point, this animation forward, animation walking forward, doesn't match the logic of what we're doing. Right? If you want to pull back the string, we need her to have her hand here so that she can pull back the string. Right? So the walking forward, walking left, walking right, and walking back need adjusted so that this hand here is on this, on the string. Right? So what I'm going to do is if I duplicate this, Black Panda, there's a playlist of every single day, mostly twice a day. Right, I'm going to rename this to V2, right? So if you just look on the channel and look for playlists and Groenland devlogs. So if we make this V2, right? And Ken, you can let me know if I'm doing this wrong, by the way. But this is just me testing. Right, so if I go back to here, right, where's the bloody hand? So if we move our arm, ew, that's not very good. We'll undo that, right? Because I think what we need to do here is not so much move it, is rotate these parts. You see, this kind of doesn't begin to make sense. God, that would be a long video in itself. It's not a bad idea, but Right, I'm no good at this. And probably it would be easier for Kent just to do this. Right, where this hand has got to attach to here. Well, not attach, but it's got to look like it's attached to here. Right? But anyway. Right, I'm not going to do that because I'm rubbish at it. So it'll probably look janky whatever way I do it because I'm just not. If it was simply just moving the hand a couple of degrees this way and the upper arm a couple of degrees that way, then I'd be fine with it, right? But I've just not got it. Well, I've got basically an hour yesterday when I did a little bit, and that is the limit of my animation editing in anything really, actually. Right. So this is for Kent. This is a little introduction of what the problem actually is here and how I smoke and mirrored it a bit. Right, so basically, if the speed goes over 0, I place the arrow at the end. I play this animation which has the effect of basically showing the arrow, which is here, right? Arrow mesh. We show the arrow and we play it at the end, which means that the bow is drawn back and the arrow is shown. If the speed is 0, then it basically wipes out that animation and returns back to no animation, right? Which means that basically the arm drops and you just see the bow and it basically hides the arrow, right? So there's nothing in the animation blueprint that does that. It's just the speed, right? And it gives the impression that, you know, you've pulled back the bow, right? Where in fact all you've did is basically move to the end of an animation and you're showing the last frame, right? Whereas the other one is basically you're saying there is no animation and that automatically drops you back to the sort of idle position, right? So that's how that works, right? And I know it's not right, but because we had nothing sort of linking up or lining up or whatever, it did the job for what we needed it to do at that particular time. But what we actually want, right, I'm going to program this so it works in effect, kinda, right? So if I go into the animation, right, I've created a new variable here, but what we need is another one. Right, so this is the locomotion, right? And this plays the blend space between the walk forward, walk backward, blah, 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 right? But where did I do the... where did I do the speed thing where I fire it off on the... Yeah, I was sure I did it here, but apparently I don't. Right, here it's here, right? So we say, are we hunting and do we have a speed greater than 0? If we do, we do the animation place arrow. Now that isn't an animation within the animation blueprint, that is just basically telling it to do this, right? So I think what we'll do is we'll add will we do it in here or will we do it in the blueprint? I think we'll do it in the blueprint. We can do it in either. But what we actually want here is, we might move this, but what I'm going to do is not sure on this one. We're going to get right, we're going to do a new variable, right? And we're going to say aim cooldown. Okay. I'm sure we will get it all working. It's just takes a little thinking about. So the point is here, we don't want you to drop your aim when you stop moving. We want a grace period, right? Because we don't want it that you're running and gunning, right? Basically, because you're going to miss all the time. So for the most part, when you fire your bow, you're going to be standing still, right? Which means that we can't have it work like it's currently working, because when you're standing still, you haven't got your bow up. It looks like you're not even aiming at anything, right? Now, the thing you could do here, maybe, I don't know if this is going to work either. Right, let me think about this. We need right, so in our locomotion, right, we go in here, and the movement with bow, we go to here, right. It's this blend space. Right, what I'm thinking here is, right, this is the idle. I'm thinking that this should be standing. I'm thinking this should be standing, aim, walk forward. Let me just check. I want to see this. Right, that's okay. I'm thinking here, if we do this standing aim, aim, walk forward, right? Okay. Now, what I actually need here, right, so if I save this, right, and here's the thing. I could jerry-rig this to blend to the speed so that her legs don't move, but she does. Right, so if I do that, right, you can see that her legs are moving, right? But we do have the correct position. Okay? Now, my problem with this is our aiming is completely janked, right? Because how does that work, right, with this camera? That's just not going to happen. Right? So, as I said, I could jerry-rig this to blend it at speed or inverted, right? So that if you're not walking, then basically it'll blend in below the pelvis. Okay, but I don't know. See, but that's not going to be the final answer, right? What I really need is this. Maybe I can use standing draw arrow. That would make more sense. Right, so let's go back in here. Right, that's the wrong thing. So I'm thinking this one here standing, oopsie daisies, standing draw arrow. But of course the problem is that this loops. Right, we're in between a rock and a hard place here that we either get a looping one that isn't right, or we've got a walking one that isn't right. And we're kind of mixed between the two. Now, are you still there, Kent? Just as a question. What I'm thinking here is upper arm, lower arm, hand. If I go is there an easy way for me to stop her from walking in this animation? If I can just stop everything below the pelvis. And kind of lock this bottom part in place. Can we do that? Right, I see these got additive layer tracks, but this is all for the arms and the hands and stuff. Right? Is there a way to just lock certain things in place? Right, so this isn't going to be an easy fix for me to do in 2 seconds in Unreal Engine, is what you're saying. Because, like, as I said here, if the speed is 0, I can blend it, as you said, below the pelvis, right? And then she won't do that. Right, so hey. I'm gonna have to look at the other animation here. Right, so that's the wrong one. Right, so we're not really worried about that so much. Right. So we'd have to basically do a similar thing to this. Right. And this stuff hurts my head. This is the output pose. We need to do this. And then this becomes the main thing. So that's the base locomotion, right? And then we have the with bow. Let me try something. Ah, no, we don't want to do that. I can't remember what this is called. It's a blend. It's not that. Oh, this is brutal. Yeah, you can do this. Now I'm trying to remember where I did it. It's not that. Or it might be. Right, hang on a second. There is a way to do this. Give me 1 second. Blend. Animation by bone. Right, let's have a check on this. It's just a node, but I can't remember which one it is now. I can blend them on speed, right? And if the speed is 0, I can blend in 100% the movement from a standing one, and then that'll work. Right? So let me find out which one it is. Right. It is the layered blend. Layered blend per bone. Right. So we're just going to tread test this to see if it works. And this should be well, if the speed is 0, it's kind of the inverse. Right, so I'm going to do this for now, right? And I'm going to see what the result is. Now, in theory, this should kill our animation. Right, that's fine. But we need to change the animation. Blend. Right. So this idle needs to go back to walking forward. Apparently it's not called standing aim walk forward. Aim walk forward. Right? I remember rightly, this was not how you do it. You've got to tell it what point to blend, but that's going to be in here again, right? And we do pelvis, and we have a child outside losing its nut. Okay, so let's have a look here. Why is that doing that? Standing aim, walk forward. So why is she still... I think it's one of those days where we go backwards instead of forwards. Why is she reloading? Well, one thing is we haven't got a secondary. Why is she loading? Right, let's get rid of that. Right, so that's back the way it was, right? We've got this blend space. Don't get it. I am confused. Right, that's what it should be doing. Right? That's what it should be doing. Right, but for some reason I am utterly confused. Unless, of course, right, I think I know what it is. Right, it's this thing here. It's not. See, I thought it was going into draw. Okay. Whew. I've completely lost my train of thought. We've gone backwards. We've mucked it up. We don't have that connected. Let's connect these back up again for now. It might be borked because these aren't set up. In fact, that's what it's going to be. Or not. It is something to do with these, right? It is definitely something to do with these, but I really don't know what. Okay guys, I'm going to have a quick break for 2 minutes, clear my thoughts, come back at this again and find out what the heck is going on, because I'm not 100% sure. So if you're enjoying me struggling on animations, then hit like and subscribe. Check the description for links to the Groenland Discord server and my personal one, plus Patreon and my previous game on Steam. I shall be back in 2 minutes guys, don't go anywhere. Okay guys, we're back. None the wiser. Still confused. Did we get this working again, or is it back to what it was? Oh, that's my microwave telling me the coffee's ready. Right. Got my coffee heated up. Let's continue, shall we? Let's find out where we are. Right, we're still... And that is annoying. Right, so I'm going to put this back the way it was. Right, this was, I believe, standing idle. Right, I don't get it. I don't know what's going on here. I do not get it. And I am probably just screwing this up even more. Yeah, I think it's something to do with this. Probably find out it's not. Don't get it. I don't get it. Hey, Stormrun Gaming, how you doing? Right, so when she's idle, that should be it. Okay. That should be it. I can only think. right, that when we do that, we go straight to here. I'm now getting to the point where I'm just thoroughly confused. Right, now what we'll do is we'll add a breakpoint there. And I'm getting, I'm actually becoming more and more and more confused by this. Right, that I don't know why she is suddenly not doing what I expect. I mean, in theory, this is back the way it was, so it should be basically her standing with the bow and not doing anything, right? But she keeps drawing the bow. Right, now this is telling her not to do that anymore, which is fine, but now she goes back to doing that. Right? I don't know why. Well, this has been a good hour of getting nowhere. Right, it's time for a print string. If in doubt, print string. Right, and we just want speed. Let's see what we get. Okay. So we've got a speed of 0. Right. which means, of course, don't know why that's open. Right, so we're in with bow, right? So let's make her do something weird. If the speed is 0. Why is that standing in draw arrow? Oh my god. So, standing idle. Save. I don't get that, why that was... just don't get it. Right. And there she is, right. And there we are, back to where we were. Okay. That is really, really weird. Right, either way. Okay, let's do some actual stuff then, right? So what we'll do is that when you got your bow out, you can't interact. Okay? It's as simple as that. So let's actually make some sort of progress on this. So basically, event graph. Right? Now, it's going to be on an interactable item. Right? So, if we go into interactable items and base blueprints, base interactable. In fact, I don't think it's in there. Interactable item. And it's not in there either. So it must be in each individual one. Which is fine, I suppose. So we'll do it on a ladder. It's not on that either. Can't be on a pawn, surely. It could be. This is where I've ended up. I've got myself so confused over that other thing that now I'm getting confused about everything. Right? So this sphere should be it's not got anything. Interactable item. Yeah, this is it. Right, it's this thing here, right? So, we've got to get our ref char. Then we have to get a mode. Right? Then we say equals normal. And then we branch. Right? So that'll stop us interacting with things if we're already in hunting mode or another mode. Right? We can change this as necessary, but this is going to work either way. We don't need to change this one, right? Because we don't care what mode we're in if we're disabling it. So, what we're going to do is if we go to hunting mode, right, you'll notice now that we can't interact with it, but and you'll notice that she didn't actually put the bow away, which is fine. Because we need to fix that. So this is the equip bow. Right, we set this bow to nothing. And actually, you know what? We don't need to do that. We've already got a... We've already got this. So in this case, all we actually need to do is get our bow, and destroy it. Then set that, the bow is nothing, which should get done anyway, right? But we'll just do it as a cleanup exercise. Okay. Okay, press play. So we've got a ball. We've not got a ball. Got a ball. Not got a ball. Got a ball. Can't interact. Not got a ball. Can interact. Okay, cool. At least we have done something in the last hour and 20 minutes. Right? So at least we've got that working. So the next thing we're doing, well, that's it actually. We've now set that up so that you've got to be in normal mode to interact with things. And when we destroy come out of hunting mode, we take the bow away, set it to nothing, kill the reticle, and we're off and running again. Okay, so at least we made a bit of progress there. Now, there is one thing I want to do here, which is back to our monsters, right? And in particular, this one. Yeah, monsters are NPCs. So yeah. And they have their own animations and behavior trees. Right? Now, the interesting thing here it doesn't have the option in the event graph. What option do you mean? Don't know what you mean by it doesn't have the option in the event graph. Option for what? Right, so we know that that was a bit wacky. So that's going to be idle. Okay, because we know our monster was looking really weird. And actually, we also know that this as I say, I don't understand what you mean, Stormrun. But it doesn't have the option. What option? Right, we need a run, but we have to have a run or a walk that is in place, which I believe ASNTT, right? So if we say walk ASNTT, right, save that. I don't know why you would want a spline. I know why they've done it, right? But it's not the way to do it. Okay? And even then, the way they've done it isn't a great idea either, because you don't need them to walk on splines, right? If you're going to do something, if you're going to do it, all you need to do is set up target points, right? And then when they when they get to a place, then they just change the target point, right? It's as simple as that. You don't need splines. You've already got a navigation mesh, right? So you can tell them to move to, right? And if you've got a target point, then, or a set of target points, then just tell them to go to a target point, right? I almost certainly wouldn't use a spline as like a path, unless you want it to be very, very specific, right? But as a normal NPC, that wouldn't be necessary, right? In fact, it would be undesirable, because it would become obvious, right, that they're following a very specific path. Now, if you do it in the AI, then yeah, it's going to kind of look the same, but they might take, depending on how you've set it up, they might take certain slightly different variations on how they get there, right? And your problem is, of course, if you use a spline and something else moves and blocks that in your map and blocks your navigation mesh, then they can't get there, right? Right, just imagine you build stuff in your game, right? And you've got an NPC that moves from X to Y, right? And somebody builds something right in between X and Y. If you've got them moving on a spline, they're just going to hit that object and not be able to go around it. Okay? So, yeah, there's that. NPCs are quite a complicated concept, because you need the NPC blueprint for that. Then you need to add in like a controller, which in turn uses then behavior trees and blackboards, and then you've got to tie in the animation blueprint, right? So I'm not smart, right? I've just learned this by doing this for 3 years, right? I'm sure you'll get it, but it's not, as I said, NPCs, AI, behavior trees, animation blueprints, and tying them together is not week 1 or month 1 of Unreal Engine, right? You've got to work yourself up to that, right? So what I'm going to do here is, I was wanting to test this last night and I never got around to it, right? And this was our monsters, and basically checking their behavior, right? And I wanted to make sure that they were staying away from fires, okay? This is the problem sometimes, and it's an understandable one. Newcomers to Unreal Engine, they kind of jump too far and try to walk or try to run before they can walk. Yes, you will. You will get more frames per second because you're not running an editor as well. It is optimized, but there's obviously, it only makes logical sense that you're not going to get the same performance, right? Now, I've got no idea what's going on here. This has been an absolute disaster of a day so far. Right, this is just not happening for me today at all. Have I set that to idle? Yeah, I have. I'm just having a nightmare today, Kent. That's all there is to it. I'm having an absolute mare. Oh God, what's going on? Actually, you know what? Third person walk will do. I don't care. Right? Now, where in the heck is the idol? Where on the earth did the idol go? What was I doing last night? Was I drunk or something? And I must have lost. I did have 2 power outages last night, right? Which might have disrupted things, but I had them moving fast, and I had them moving fast for a very good reason, and that was because I wanted them to basically interact with the fires, right? But it seems now that our zombies are the slowest things in existence. Yeah, look, walk speed. I set that to 600 last night. Okay, Stormrun, I'll look forward to seeing that. Right. Alright, these are still going to look stupid, right? Because now they're going to zip about like crazy lunatics. Right? But the point is, we don't want them to come towards the fire, or they shouldn't, right? Anybody know how you switch on AI perception? The indicator. I can't remember how you do it. I want to see somebody come next to this fire and then like walk away in the opposite direction. Now you can see that none of the bad guys, oh, there's a guy there. Now they do kind of walk funky. Right, he's not reacting to that fire at all. Right, we're not happy about that. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this. Okay, so that's for setting it up. That's for doing the fire. Oh, look at this. I must have lost this last night because this isn't the only thing that should be there. Right, and this is why I'm getting so confused about things here. It's a mixture of not knowing about the animation blueprint thing and get myself confused, and the fact that I lost some work last night, because this should have another set value. Right, set value as enum. Right. And this is parasite state. So that is going to go in there. Now I'm going to have to check the actual blackboard to find out if this exists. Now I think it should. Make literal e parasite right. Oops. So fire spotted, that goes in there. Save that. Save all. And now we are going to have to go into our, let's minimize that. Going to have to get into our behavior tree. And we've lost all that as well. Yep, we've lost all the stuff from last night for our parasite. Right. Which is crap, obviously. But at least it explains why it's not working. Nah, I didn't save it as a different name. We have to go through a different kind of saving type thing because we're working on something together and we've got to merge it and do all this stuff, so nah, didn't do that. Right, so we're going to rename this first of all, to fire spotted and then we're going to do parasite state is equal to fire spotted. No, I didn't back up before fetching. It was just last night I had a couple of power outages, right, that's mucked this up. Don't worry about it. Right, because this code was in here last night, right? It was part of the thing. Okay? But you'll notice that there's no... Well, that's okay now, right? But anyway... We should have a task set up in here. Yeah, it was just a last night issue. It was just because I'm not surprised at this, right? This was, I had 2 power cuts in the space of about 20 minutes, right? So, okay, somebody, we'll see you later. You'll notice we've not moved from fire, right? We've still got this, right? And this calculates right, we don't need this because we're not actually doing that anymore. Right? And we do set that back to idle. Yeah, well, somebody try not to think about a lot of complicated things, just think of one of them at a time. Right, so we're setting our runaway position and now we need to go back here and then fire it off, right? So we do task, move from fire, right? And we get destination, then fire, then we don't need this. And we really pretty much don't need that either. Yeah, we do. We need it for that. But we don't need fire spotted, right? Because we know that the fire's spotted. So we can delete that. Okay, and then back in the behavior tree, we basically do a move to. Right, and that is going to be destination. Save that, save all, and press play.